Hey, how's it going? This is Roy from Rate My Funeral. That was Rate, by the way. So welcome along. It's a brand new Cinema 4D tutorial. Unless, of course, you're watching this several years after I've released it, in which case then this is a really old tutorial. But whatever. We're going to be covering the most exciting element of 3D modeling ever. UV unwrapping. Now, of course, it isn't. It's something that I've desperately tried to avoid at all costs up until now. However, recently I have been looking into making assets for games, and therefore UV unwrapping is 100% essential. So I have had no choice. Basically, Cinema 4D, it's historically not very good for this sort of thing. However, there is a way to do it. There is a workflow. It's just a pain in the butt. It takes a long time, but it's something that needs to be done. So that's what I'm going to cover. We're going to start off by preparing the model for unwrapping, then we'll do the actual unwrapping itself, and then we will do how to export it as a PSD file with a guide so that you can then paint it or do whatever you want to do on the next step. So without further ado, let's hop on into Cinema and take a look at where we begin. Yes, I'm aware it's a hat. I have isolation hair. Okay? Just leave it. Just leave it.
Okay, so this is my turret. It is a fairly simple model that I've just kind of put together. It's pretty much just made up using cubes and cylinders, really. It is built in a kind of a way so that I can rotate the gun. I can pivot the turret, and I can also rotate the barrel. So quite cool. One thing that is a little bit smart is these cables. So these are connected using a tracer spline that is run through controllers that go from there to there. These are parented to this element, and these are parented to this element. So that means that the cables stay connected. Very nice, very useful. Not covered in this tutorial because this is all going to be made editable when we do the UV stuff. But if you did want more information on this, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll do a quick tip on it or something. It's fairly straightforward, pretty common technique, and it's very nice, very nice. Right, so this is my turret. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save my project, and you want to approach this incrementally. So basically every time you make a big change, save a version. And because basically, depending on what you're doing with this, if you're getting this ready for a game, you want to put this into a game, then you're going to want a low poly version. And by that, I don't mean that new stylized way of doing everything. I mean as in a model that doesn't contain a huge amount of geometry. But that's what you're going to build your UV off. But then you're going to want to make a high poly one that you can bake your textures off so that you can add chamfers to the corners without having actual geometry there, using normals. So, but that's kind of quite far out of the scope of what we're covering here. All I want to look at is how to unwrap this. Now, there's plenty of videos on how to unwrap the UVs in Cinema. The problem is they're always how to unwrap a cube. But if you're doing a more complex object, it then gets a bit more complicated. If you've got multiple parts, it gets a little bit more complicated. So I just wanted to cover some of this, really. I've been doing this a lot lately, and this is a great way for me to remember how to do it, to be fair. First thing I need to do, though, is just tidy up my model a little bit, because it's still all in Cinema style. So I need to basically get all the parts organized a bit better, make it editable. I'm going to optimize it a little. I'm going to clean up some geometry that is never going to be seen, so it doesn't need to be there. And yeah, then let's get through it. So I'm going to kill off a lot of the functionality and everything, like all cloners and all of that. Let's work our way down. So our barrel, this is actually this part here. I'm okay with the number of rotations, and it's sitting okay. I'm absolutely fine with that. So I'm just going to hit C and make that editable, and that's absolutely fine. So next is the cylinder here. Again, it's kind of the same. I could probably lose a few, so I'm going to just take a few of the rotation segments out of that one and make that editable. Now I have the cloner, which is my 5 barrels here, and those are already editable, but obviously I don't want them in a cloner, so I'm going to do current state to object, which makes a duplicate of these, and then I'm just going to move those out of that null, and I'm going to delete the original plus that null. There we go. So now I have one object for each of my barrels. Here I have a cylinder, and then I've got 2 instances of it. So for this, I'm just going to make the lot editable, but first I'm going to reduce the number of segments on that one as well to 12. Just doesn't need that much. And then I'm going to make all of those editable, which makes them all parts as well. So these are my controllers for my cables. They're just nulls that a tracer spline is running through. So I'll just delete all of that. Don't do that, Rory. That was wrong. When I get to the splines, I need to make them editable first. So we'll come back to those. Okay, what have we got up here? These are my LEDs. These definitely can be reduced. They don't need anywhere near as much detail as that. So something like that. Maybe 12 for that one. To be fair, even that's probably too much, but it's okay. For what I'm doing, this is absolutely fine. So those are done. Now we have another cloner, which is, oh, this is these pieces here. So let's have a quick look at this. So right click, current state to object. You can press C and make the cloner editable, and it kind of does the same thing, but I don't know, I'm used to doing it like that. This cube is fine, that's already editable because I've sculpted that. Then under stuff, so these are my cables here. So I need to select these 3 sweeps. Like I say, they're just a tracer object with a circle running through them. And I will go ahead and do current state to object. Oh, what did I just do then? Undo that. I did the wrong thing. That one, and that one. And current state to object. Boom. Oh, there we go. And it gives me a thing with a ton of tags. So we'll get rid of the sweep, get rid of the sweep, get rid of the sweep. And let's just get rid of all these tags as well. We don't need them. So now I've done that, I can actually get rid of all these controllers. We'll head back up and get rid of these controllers just because we don't need them any longer. And next we will go to our cloner. This is this one down here, and that's absolutely fine as is. Let's just press C. So C, so it makes the cloner editable, but it keeps all of those knots. So yeah, it's a few extra steps if you do it like that. That's basically the difference. Symmetry object. Now this is that and that. I think what I'm actually going to do here, because I want these as 2 separate objects, but I'm going to do current state to object, delete the original, take that out of there, select this, and then if I hide everything else, so I've just got these guys here, I'm going to select my rectangle selection, go to polygon mode, select those ones, right click, do split. That then makes a duplicate with just these ones, but obviously it leaves this in the original. So I'm going to select the original and press delete, and now I have 2 separate things. Now the only, there we go, no, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, 2 separate pieces. Really I should be labeling these, but you know what, I think it's fine for now. So that's fine, that's them done. The other thing I'm going to do though is that you will never see the insides of these. So I'm actually going to just grab these middle ones and hit delete, grab these middle ones for this one and hit delete. And let's just double check points. Yep, have we got any? No, we haven't. We can do a right click and optimize. Basically, when you delete polygons, sometimes you can leave the vertices points. And I just wanted to double check that there were none sitting somewhere. So what it's best to do is select them all, right click and do optimize. And then that way you know you haven't got any. So forgive me, I'm going quite quickly because this isn't even really the subject of this, but this is the preparation. And as with a lot of things, preparation is very key. So here, if I just, okay, I thought I soloed that. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same again for this because this is 2 sides. So I'm going to make that editable, bring that up there, and there's my cubes. Now if I press this, there we go, I only see the 2. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. Boom, right click, split, and then click the original. That didn't work, try that again. And there we go, right. Now I have my 2 bits. Super. In case you are wondering, by the way, what all these little lines are, that's my normals direction. And this is really, really important when you're dealing with these types of things, is that your normals are all pointing in the correct way. If this wasn't orange and it was actually showing up kind of blue, it would look like that. And then we can see here we have 2 normals that are facing the wrong way, and that point is actually on the inside. I can't get close enough to see, but that means that this one is the wrong way around. So that would be a problem later on. So what you do is you right click on that and you do reverse normals, and that's how that would be. Again, just nothing to do with what we're doing, just mentioning. Right, let's see everything again, and we'll move down, and this is the base on the bottom. This is just a simple plane, whatever, there we go. Right, it's not a plane, it's a disc. So that is all of my pieces ready for UV unwrapping. So that's quite exciting. Next we're going to start with the base and work our way up. But first I'm going to do save as incremental. So it adds a 2 to my name, and now I know I have that previous one before I've done all these changes. And I'm ready to continue. Let's start with this. Now firstly I'm going to need a couple of extra tools. You can do it with the whole layout thing, but to be fair I like this view and I only need to use a couple of the tools from it, so I'm just going to press Ctrl+C to search, and I'm going to find the UV Manager, which I can run and I can dock here. There we go, so we now have the UV Manager there. And I also want UV polygons, which I think I can just drag straight there. There we go, perfect. Okay, now the way this is working is it's best to always solo the thing that you're working on, just to make it that little bit easier to see what you're doing. And then you have to look at the shape and you have to think, right, how am I going to unwrap it? Now, this is the reason why most people, when they do these tutorials, they start off with a cube, because a cube is the most basic thing to unwrap and put the cuts in. So we will come to cubes as we go along, but it doesn't really help you when you end up with a shape like this. And you have to use a little bit of trial and error and a kind of a bit of experience to understand what is the best way to get these into a UV texture or whatever, you know, to create UV islands out of this. This is what I'm trying to say. So basically the way we do it with Cinema is we have to specify where we're going to cut this to flatten it into you know, a 2D image. And this, we just simply use the cut tool, and there's a couple of ways you can approach this. Now, looking at this, the way I'm seeing this simplest is that this top view that's one shape, and then I'm going to stretch out this inside into one long one, although maybe into 2 medium-sized ones, and then the outside I think I'm going to do something like these into maybe 2 sets. I'll try and explain this by doing it. So firstly, I'm going to do a cut there. So I just pressed UL for the loop selection tool. So I've selected those. I'm going to do the same there. So that way, oops, I should have held shift, sorry. So now what is highlighted there is one item now that will be cut. Next, if I just select this one here, and then I come past this one to this one. Now I'm also saying I want to cut that down along there. That will create those 2. Then I will make one cut here and one cut this side to create 2 out of those. And that is basically it. So now I go to I keep that selection. I can switch between these and that selection stays. I go to this one, Control A to select all polygons. Come to my UV mapping thing here and go to projection. Now I'm missing something here actually. I need to see the texture view. So I'm going to put in UV texture. It's not in there. It's my bad. It's up here. Body paint, texture view. There we go. Right. So that's currently the UV layout, which is not perfect for this. Let's try docking this there we go, and we'll zoom out a bit. This is obviously terrible. They're all overlapping. You couldn't do anything with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, in projection, I've got all my points selected, my cuts are still there. I'm going to hit frontal, and then that does that, which obviously that's not much use to anyone. It just basically takes a shot of it like that. However, if we now go to relax, we ensure that nothing else is ticked in here except for cut selected edges. They're my edges that I've cut, and then I press apply. Now there are 2 options here. These are the algorithms for doing the UV unwrapping. Generally this LSCM will be absolutely fine. So we'll just hit apply on that. Right, so what have we got here? We can see we've got some folds. So if I just do some optimal mapping, realign, don't worry about preserving orientation, but make sure that to equalize the island size. Right, what we can see here is that it's kind of keeping all of that stuff together. So I'm obviously missing an important cut, and I'm not sure where. So, okay, I made a slight mistake here. I forgot I was supposed to remove the bottom pieces because I don't want these. These will never be seen. So I'm just going to quickly, oh, no. Don't do it like that. Do it like this one, this one, this one, and this one. I'm going to quickly remove them. So that's why, because I didn't have anything showing a cut at the bottom here. So it's tried to basically keep all of these connected. So now we'll go projection, frontal, relax. That looks like it could be a bit better. And then we'll go optimal mapping. Right, we are one step closer now because that's pretty good. This is not right. Because it's put the two together for some reason. I am not sure why. I think I want to actually have that one. So let's go through. We'll do this again. Maybe we need to change the position where we do the projection. Frontal, relax, optimal mapping, apply. There we go. Right. Boom, keep it and apply and it will line it all up. And there we go. Now I have actually successfully unwrapped this specific piece and all the pieces are sitting all right. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. We can actually go in here. We can select UV polygons in here and we can say grab these guys here and then use the move tool. We can move these about. We can even rotate them. You don't get any details like you get in the main window, but we can tidy up stuff in here. So now if I realign that, there we go, that's now perfect. So that's that one done. Let's go through, we'll do another one. So barrel, which is this. So again, I forgot here, look, there's this back side of it that is never going to get seen, so I need to just cut that away. So let's do this, cut you away. So our lines, best way to cut this one, nice and simply, around the edge and one line. Best to do that one line actually, silly Rory, look. There we go. Best to do that one line at the bottom, again where it's not so seen, because it might show up as a bit of a seam in the artwork. But it depends how well you do it. Then we'll go back, make sure everything is selected. Once again, we'll go projection, frontal, relax, apply, and then optimal, and hit that a couple of times, and there we go, boom. These maybe are a little bit close, but we won't worry about that yet because we're going to get all of it done first before we worry too much about that. So next, I think I can click this and it will just basically show me everything that I click, right? Yeah, that's it, there we go. This one is both. Now the way I'm going to do this is basically the same. I'm going to cut, so the top is out, the back is out, and then I'm just going to do one cut in the side so that it can split that and unpeel it. Again, we projection, relax, and then apply. Boom. So now that we've kind of got this idea, we can go through this pretty quickly, but then we'll get to some that are a bit more like this we have to think about. We will cut the back off here. We will cut one line down there. So think about this, that's on its own, and then we've unwrapped that. We now have this down the end here we need to do something with. So what's going to be the best way? Probably there. This color is terrible for seeing this. It's really hard. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to cut that separately and cut that separately and then unwrap that. I'm going to use the top. I don't think it really matters. And actually, no, I'm going to continue the line. So we cut there and we cut there. Right, and let's just check. The nice thing is if we get something wrong, we'll generally see it at this point because stuff will look weird. It will look curved, kind of like that. Why is that doing that? So let's have a look. We're a bit zoomed in. We've got a bit of an issue with these two. So if we want to check exactly what that is, we can come to here, UV mesh, UV polygons, and we can just select them. And yeah, sure enough, that was exactly what I was expecting. They are those ones. So not sure why those ones are being a pain. Let's untick you there. Let's just try it. If we don't do it, I think it it won't work at all, right? Oh no, look, it worked. Ah, of course. So I don't need to cut that because, of course, it's silly me. That was me being silly. Because it's going around in circles, I don't need to do that. I can just leave no cuts and just have that as its own piece there. And of course, the way you could then deal with that is place that inside there or whatever, or that one inside there. But now we'll align those. There we go. Lovely job, lovely job. Okay. Next, so we've got all of these now to do. So let's just quickly nip through these now that we know the best way to do them. Okay, so that's all of the barrel done. Now, obviously, that was hugely tedious, and that's where some smart unwrapping features would be nice, but yeah, this is the way it is. So these cylinders here, I think, are ones that I can probably tidy up as well, because, yeah, we've got backs on them that we don't need. So we can get rid of that one, and we can get rid of that one. Let's have both of these up at the same time. Actually, nope. Go. So we'll cut that there, and we'll cut that there, whatever. Projection frontal, relax, yes. Boom. Next. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right, okay. Cool. Okay. Alright, what bit is this? I don't know. Ah, these are all of these. So yeah, we've got a ton of more tedious bits to do, so let's quickly whiz through these. Same thing, I'm gonna select them all and go ahead and get rid of the backs. Okay, so now probably one of the more tricky shapes to mess around with. Not the trickiest, but a tricky. So a tip that a friend once gave me was that when you're doing shapes like this, you've got to be, you can use a bit of kind of judgment. And that if it's just a small cube, you've got to balance the additional geometry of breaking this one below it versus the fact that you'll have a bunch of area that you don't ever see that's just one polygon. So therefore, that could actually be better than ending up with cuts all the way around this and through this to compensate for that. So this is where you've got to be a little bit sort of clever. However, in this case, I just extruded it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this like its own cube. So I'm just going to simply make a cut there, cut there, cut there. And then of course I've got this shape in the back that I've forgotten about. So I'll cut there and cut there. In fact, I'm going to treat that like its own cube on the inside of this one as well. So we're going to do something like that, and then we'll splay out that one. This may not even be the best way to do it, but this is the way I'm doing it in this case, at least. So, so that means that will be its own bit and have the four sides coming out. This one, let's see now. I think possibly we don't have a cut there. What will that do? That will put that as a circle on the end of that. That will flap open that way and that way. So I think that's fine like that. I mean, we can test it by just highlighting that area and then doing the procedure with just that bit, but I'm not going to worry just yet. Next, I think I'm going to, because I've cut that out, this will be its own section. So I'm going to just basically come up here and then across and then back down. So that will be its own thing, which I'll cut there as well. That will be one long, large thing. It might need to be cut, but we'll try. We'll do the same this side. Something like that. We've got yet another cube on the back here. So I'll treat that in the same way I did the one from earlier. This may not be the right way, but I'm going to try. Let's see. I'll keep saying that. I should stop saying that. And also this one here. Let's see. We will take the back off it, but we'll leave that. Then we'll cut along there and there and there. There and there. There. Oh. Boom, boom, boom. And there. Now, oh, I didn't want those two. Oh, look at that one down there. Right, okay. So, I don't know whether this is going to work, but I think I'm going to test it now. Let's see what happens here. So, we'll select everything. We'll go into projection. We'll do frontal. We'll relax them. And then we'll apply. Yeah, it's not too bad. There's a problem here because this is a bit twisted looking. So let's see if we can figure out which area this is here. So this is to do with these flaps here. Yeah, this is why I say this is not necessarily, this is good geometry because it's low polys, but then really I want my cuts to come down there because I want straight cuts. I don't want these angular cuts for doing this bit. So let's go back to here. What happens if I do cut those and they let them flap open? I think I'll have the same problem down here as well though, won't I? Let's just try frontal, relax, apply. I've just done those bits. Got to do it. Make sure I select all. Okay, apply. Yeah, see, we've still got this problem. It's because of these. This is not ideal. So we'll remove those ones. I think. Do we want to remove those ones? So that's just its own bit there now. That'll open up like that. That will open up like that. Okay, now that should be okay, I think. I'm going to take out that cut so that that just flaps open, and the same with that one. And now I'm going to try again to double check it's all selected. It is. So frontal, relax, and then apply. Right, so we've still got an issue here. Where are we looking? Oh, so we're down here now. Right, we've got to have a little think about this then. So what's this doing? So we've unfolded the back, and that's come off. It's because it's trying to unwrap this. Yeah. So we basically, I think we just need to put a cut there and there, possibly this side as well, and then we try again. Oh, I've done that thing again. I need to make sure I select everything. Okay. So we've still got a problem. This is a pain in the butt, this shape. It really is. So we'll do the cut there and we'll remove that one. And we'll add a cut there. Come around the other side. We'll add a cut there, and we'll remove that one. No, we'll keep that one. Mind you, that's just made its own bit. Is that good? Let's just try it. Okay, well we're definitely looking better. Probably should have done it a little differently, but definitely not perfect because it would have been nice for it to all be neat flat pieces. But because of these angular cuts, then I can't really get that. I don't think there might be, like I said, there might be a better way to unwrap it, but either way, it's there now at least. So we're one step forward. So let's move on to the next. So these are going to be pretty horrible because they're bendy and nasty. So they'll probably look silly. But to cut them, all you need to do is a single swipe down. I can't remember, there's a key. I can't remember what it is, so I'm just going to do it manually, which is like this, which I know is pretty nasty, but I cannot remember for the life of me the key that would allow me to do this without doing it right. This obviously has these, so they can come off. Okay, wunderbar. Right, and then we'll do that same trick again. So the way I'm doing it, I'm just basically going down and then holding control and sliding back up again to deselect what I didn't actually need. It's a bit of a messy way to do it, but it does the job, doesn't it? Another point would be to make sure that this cut is actually on a side that's not really visible, again because of the seal, but in this case it's going to be like a black rubbery cable, so I don't think it's really that big a deal. Boo, 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 boo. Boom. Okay, so now I go through frontal, relax, and optimal. Cool. Frontal, relax. Frontal, relax. Okay, cool. Next, there's only a few more to go. Oh, these are these. These are these. I'll get these done quickly. Okay, so here we go with another interesting looking one. This is one I 100% I should have done it as a separate box, just because I will. And I'll show you the difference actually, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this up. So let's grab these. UL, no, not UL, UZ. There we go, that melts. But now obviously you can see these blue lines, that's N-gons. We don't want N-gons. So I'm now going to use the knife tool to just literally cut around. Okay, there we go. Like I say, it's not perfectly neat, but it will absolutely do in this case. Now I can unwrap this one much nicer. So I will do, I want to get around you like that, and we'll have that like that and that and like that. So this will splay open like a cross kind of shape. Then we will do, let's see. That can come all the way down there, so we'll put a cut there, cut there, cut there. That will open up that. And we'll do the same this side, cut there, cut there, cut there. I'm going to do a little bit of trial and error on this one just to see. That one, that one, that one. And then we'll put a cut there, there. This is the downside by putting all those cuts through, is that now the yeah, I have to click them lots. I'm thinking that I don't actually need this bottom piece on here, but I'll keep it there for now. And in fact, I'm going to have it. Let's just do it like this. I'm going to have it as its own piece. Because then if I don't actually need it, if it's not visible, in the final one, I can shrink it right down. So it doesn't really take up much space on my texture. Let's just try this. Full frontal. That's not the right word, is it? Apply. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. You can see that my wiggly cuts, but overall it's better than all the weird angular ones. Right, so that's that one done. Okay, what we got next? What is this? Ah, these are just these side pieces. Okay, no problem. So we can bring both of these up at the same time. Right, next. So we've got this, and we've got two of these. So this, I mean, this is quite straightforward, really. There's probably a nice, neat way, but I'm going to do like that. I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut you there. Then I want something about the opposite side, so I'll actually cut it there so that these two strips aren't too long. And then I'm actually going to do that. So yeah, that's exactly how I'm going to do that. So projection, frontal, relax, and apply. Yep, that's fine like that. Right, now, this one is an interesting one because, yeah, so I don't need the top and I don't need the bottom. So I can actually come into here. Oh, it's already selected for me, how handy. So we'll grab those two. I think the way we'll do this is we will cut it, because of this angle, you see, if I cut it just there, and then have maybe one slice down to unpeel it, we're going to have a problem between this shape and this shape. So I'll show you by doing frontal, relax, and then we should get this kind of, yeah, see, we've got this same problem. We need to, firstly, we definitely need to take out that one. So now we do it again. That fixes that, so we've now just got a circle. But you see how we've got this, actually, do you know what, that's not too bad, is it? I apply. Yeah, to be fair, I think that'll be all right like that. That'll be fine. There we go, done. And then with this thing is just silly because, well, that is correct. so I mean, we could do it for giggles, but it's the same. So that's it. That's fine. That's it, done. Now, what happens here is we need to now merge all of these pieces into one shape. So we're going to grab this turret, select all. Let's turn off all this hiding stuff for now as well. That'll make life a bit easier. So we grab our turret and we're going to do connect objects and delete. Boom. That now gives us our one turret. Now look at our UV. It's crazy, right? Don't panic. We can actually just press this optimal mapping button again. We just have to select everything and make sure we've got equalize island side so everything stays relative, and now apply. Now look at that. Now it's not perfect, so we'll reduce the spacing to 1%. That's a bit better. Now we could do some optimization in here. Now firstly, this guy here is far too big. This is just this bottom base. This just does not need to be that big, so we can actually shrink that right down, and we can pop it in here, and we can see, we could grab like these ones and place them in here. I'm not sure how much this would really help, but you know, this is where I say there might be better ways in cinema, but I really struggle to find them. I've messed around with this quite a lot, and this is definitely the best workflow I've found so far for doing this. Let's have those two there, look. Yeah, and now what I'm just going to do is select all the ones I've just moved. Not that one. There we go. Right. And then just go to select, invert, and then I'm going to reorganize, and that made it worse. I don't know. So you could spend some time and reshuffle this and organize it, but do you know what? I think it's not too bad really as it is. Okay, so that's now my texture. So what are we on to next? We want to be able to get that into Photoshop, don't we? So firstly, let's create a quick material Turn off, no, we'll just leave that as it is. We'll come to our texture and put on here surfaces, checkerboard, and come in here. We'll make this something like, I don't know, 20 by 20. I don't know, we'll see. And then we apply this to our turret. Okay, now, as long as what we've done, as long as we've unwrapped it well, we shouldn't really see much in the way of warping. And it looks like it is pretty good. I'm actually going to put this, I don't know why, but I want to see smaller squares. Just makes it that little bit easier. I'd say overall, that's not too bad. I'm fairly happy with that. Okay, so now I want to be able to get this into Photoshop. So how are we going to do this? So let's go into layout. This is where we're going to want to go into body paint, UV edit. We'll switch to this one because I want this materials area here. So, okay, so we will create a new texture by doing new default material, and then we have to enable it. I don't really understand this. It's just what you have to do. So we have to tick that little box there. And next we have to press this tiny little X that's here. And it will ask us for some details, so we can choose a name for our texture file. The resolution, for some reason I've got a kind of half 2K, half 4K going on here, but let's just make it 2K all round, and that's absolutely fine. And then this is the backdrop color. Keep it nice and simple. Boom, there we go. Right, so we've now created a new texture, which is this. Now, what we need to do is, with our object selected, we can see our UV map there. I think we select all. Okay, so now we'll go back to our materials. We'll select this one, and we can see this is kind of what we want. Right, now what we need to do is basically get it to draw that onto a layer. So we're gonna go new layer, and it will use the brush configuration. So whatever I've got set in the brush here, so I'm gonna set this to something like 5. And then under colors, which is all over here, I know that this is made, I think possibly intentionally slightly awkward. I don't know. I'm going to do it a blue color so you can see it. Make it a bit brighter. Yeah, something like that. Whatever. So now I have to select all my polygons. So like so. And then I go to layer, outline polygons. Right. That's now drawn polygons onto my backdrop. Brilliant. Excellent. That's exactly what I needed. So now I can save this texture as, and I can choose a Photoshop, and boom, I'm ready to save it and open it in Photoshop. Boom, there we go, into Photoshop with my image, which I can turn that layer on and off, you see. So the beauty of this is I can then come in here, I can color in certain areas. We can always go back to the cinema to see what is actually what, but oh, don't do it like that. That would be really silly. So let's create a new layer and we'll draw underneath it. So, you know, I could like color in some bits like this, whatever, you know, it depends on your workflow, what you're doing now. So I'm just literally messing around really. Would add some colors, whatever. These are certain parts of it. It's just so that you see a difference when I go back in, right? And let's, for fun, do some weirdness down there. There we go, right. And then if I switch that one off and I save my texture, go back to cinema, I've already just applied this material to my gun, which as you can see, as default looks like this. But obviously now I've made a change and saved it in Photoshop. I can come into here and I can do reload image and it will update to my new one, to make my gun look absolutely gorgeous. So obviously you can now go in and you can set up your nice bits and pieces and do whatever you want to do, make it look really pretty and nice. But that, God, that actually took a lot longer than I thought. That is how you unwrap a almost complex model and get it to a single UV texture that you can then go and play around with in Photoshop until your heart is content.
Boom! There you go. I hope that was super exciting. It did go on a little bit, but then again, they always do. So what am I going to do about it? Hopefully it is something that you will find useful anyway. If you did enjoy it, do the whole liking thing, do the subscribe, hit the bell, get notified, all of that jazz. It really helps me understand if you are actually enjoying this nonsense I'm putting out. So I will see you in the next video, but before I go, I'm going to throw in a really cheeky advert for my VR game that is now available on Steam. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Hey, you got to the end of the video, thanks. I take it then you wouldn't mind if I just mentioned I made a VR game. Well, it was myself and a friend actually, and he's the clever one. But anyway, it's called Stockstind House, and it's a story-driven escape the room type game, which is creepy and atmospheric and doesn't entirely rely on jump scares. It's available on Steam right now, so if you have VR, go grab it and have some fun. I'll see you in the next video.